Beautiful people, what's good? This is your guy, Tone DeShields II, and I'm joined with my brother in arms, Philly Foothills, and we are the Birds of a Feather podcast. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you guys had an amazing Monday. Hope all you guys, matter of fact, made it home from work safe and sound, made it home from any sort of school safe and sound. Wherever you were during the day, hope you made it home safe and sound. If you had a job interview today, hope you got the gig. If if you got laid off today, it's all right. Another opportunity is coming your way. But regardless, we're grateful to be here in your presence, you guys. This is a really great podcast that we do here. Me and Philly Foothills from the Nest Out West, and I'll let my man take it away. What's good, Foothills? How you feeling?
What's good? What's going on? What's cracking, everybody? Hey, like he said, we hope you all are happy, safe, and well, and able to watch this Birds of a Feather, the podcast, in a safe and peaceful setting. Episode 10. Matter of fact, and
Yeah,
like I always say, you guys are the absolute nourishment to the channels. You guys are the food and the water. Without you, it does not continue to survive. So if you're feeling the vibe, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe to keep our dreams alive. We really, really appreciate it. We can't do without each and every one of you out there. If you've already locked in and subscribed to the content, we're much, much appreciated of that. Go share it though. If you know anybody who's into sports content, they don't even have to necessarily be an Eagles fan. Share our content. Bring them in. They may enjoy it. You never know. So just try to help us out that way. We're gonna keep bringing you guys this content, which we enjoy doing as a tandem and
absolutely.
individually. You know what I mean? It's this is a super strong community that we have as an Eagles community on YouTube, let alone, I mean, just YouTube alone. The social media in totality, it's crazy. It really is. I mean, we got such a presence, and it's an enjoyment to do it with my guy here each and every week. We're gonna try to bring it to you.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. So, man, let's not even waste no time, man, because we got you guys have us for a solid hour. So make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to either of our channels. Go subscribe to the Nest Out West. The links are available down below. Make sure you go subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports as well with myself. The links are available down below. And we're just grateful, man. Like, we get to talk sports, and you know, how many people get to really say that their team is actually trending in the right direction. You know what I mean? It's not really something that you could take for granted, because we know what it's like to be on the bottom, and we definitely know what it's like to be on the top. So, let's get right into the content. One of the most recent news clippings that came out. Trying to go old school with you guys, news clippings. One of the most recent headlines that came out was the fact that Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's going to be taking over as full-time play caller. Now, let's add some context to that, right? Last season, Steichen did become the full-time play caller mid-season, and that was when you started to see the Philadelphia Eagles kind of make a turn or shift their philosophy and how they want to approach winning football games in 2021. You saw the team beginning to become more run heavy, essentially having a more balanced approach. You
Right.
saw us you saw us become the number one rushing offense in the NFL. You also saw deficiencies in Jalen Hurts' game, which then, in a way, forced us to become more run dominant. But there's reason to be excited about Shane Steichen being the new offensive coordinator, because, and again, this isn't just a Shane Steichen decision, right? Shane Steichen has the presence of mind to be able to call a balanced attack, but also Nick Sirianni had the self awareness to say, you know what, we need to make a change, and he sat back with his brain trust. He sat back with his staff and said, what can we do? And Shane Steichen ended up becoming a play caller last year. Changed our philosophy a little bit, turn things around for the better. And now Shane Steichen is going to continue to be the full-time play caller going forward. And don't get it twisted. Nick Sirianni is going to have his hands in the pot. Nick Sirianni is going to be the maestro of the game plan.
Without a
But
doubt.
but at the same time, he's going to allow his team, going to allow his staff to do their jobs, which will allow him to be able to oversee a lot more things other than just the offensive side of the ball. So, just in hearing all that, Foothills, what was your thoughts the moment you heard that Shane Steichen was going to continue to be the full-time play caller? But a lot of people, just real quick, a lot of people didn't even know that he took over. Per last year, a lot of people didn't know that. But
Right.
what was your thoughts when you first heard the news come out and when he said in his press conference that he will be the full-time play caller going forward?
I actually like the move because, well, for one, I mean, Sirianni, he's got enough on his plate as a very young head coach already. So when you take the play calling off of his plate and you put it on the Steichens, that takes a lot of stress, and it allows Sirianni to focus his energies into other areas that may need more, just basically more work put into it than others. And you're absolutely right. Well, don't get it twisted. This is still Coach Sirianni's team. He is not, because when it's all said and done on Monday mornings, his name is the one that's going to be on the in the newspaper, not the offensive coordinator. He's going to be the one that's going to be held responsible when it's all said and done. Whether we win, we lose, we tie. I hate ties. I wish they would take those out of football. I really do. I think there's a way that we can eliminate those, definitely. But I was actually, I was kind of relieved because I think Coach Steichen can really focus all if not a majority of his energy into the offensive game plan, which of course Coach Sirianni, Coach Stoutland, all the offensive coaches are still gonna they're still gonna be a part of it. They really are. But I think Steichen is he's gonna be able to have a balance as far as run pass, because yes, we were a very dominant run team last year, and we can control a lot of teams that way going forward. With just being able to run the ball, especially late in games if we have a lead and we need to control the clock and control the ball. That's definitely going to come in handy. But don't think that Steichen is just going to be handing the ball off all the time. Not with all these weapons that we have now. Not with Smitty out there, with AJ, with D God, Quez in the slot, which I've been hearing some mixed emotions about Quez in the slot. Some people say they think he's going to struggle with the physicalness in the slot. I don't think so. I think Quez is actually going to blossom in the slot. I think he's going to enjoy it, and I think especially with having two very formidable wideouts on the outside, that middle of the field is going to be wide open, my friend. And yes, I think Steichen is going to have a very, very balanced attack, and he's going to be able to utilize these weapons to their max potential for the most part. I really do. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? He has a bevy of weapons to really play with, and with great power comes great responsibility. You have to
Absolutely.
you have to try not to become too one-dimensional when you have that much talent on your team. You have to find a way to utilize everyone to their strengths and try to get the most out of everybody. Now, the interesting part will always go back to Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts is the one that has to lead this team to the promised land, right? And there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure on everybody. There's a lot of pressure on his coaching staff, D coordinators. It's pressure on everybody. But
Really.
Jalen Hurts is the one who gets talked about the most, because he is the figurehead, so to speak. He is the face, as of right now, of the franchise. That will everything will always go back to Jalen Hurts. If they win, if they lose, regardless of what
Absolutely.
happens, it's going to always go back to Jalen Hurts. What didn't he do to get them to the W, right?
Right. There's
And
pressure on everybody. It's
right,
just some pressure. There's pressure on more than others. You know what I mean? Like you just said, Jalen Hurts, Coach Sirianni, Coach Gannon. He's got a lot to prove this coming season. He's got the weapons now. There's no more excuses, JG. It's time to get to work, and to get to work quickly. because you have a lot of talent now on the defensive side of the ball, a lot more. It's crazy with the free agent acquisitions and the draft. Yeah, we upgraded out on defense quite a bit. So there's no more excuses for Gannon. Definitely not.
Right, right. And it I get excited because this team is trying to create this well-oiled machine, right? Let's go back to Steichen becoming the full-time play caller. Whether people want to accept it or not many head coaches call their own plays. A lot of head coaches don't call their own plays. That's why they have OCs, right? You have your occasional head coach that call plays throughout the game, but you know, for example, in KC, Eric Bieniemy is the play caller, right?
Yeah.
When Nick Sirianni was in Indianapolis with Frank Reich, and Sirianni was the play caller. You know what I mean? So it's important for this Philadelphia Eagles team to create this well-oiled machine from the top down. And Nick Sirianni, this move just shows me that he's beginning to really evolve into that head coach figure. I felt like last year Sirianni was obviously his rookie season as a head coach. He was going through the growing pains of being a head coach,
Right.
having to monitor all the different personalities of his staff, his players. Having to make sure that he has all season plans and things scheduled, and he had to have his hand on all three phases of the ball: offense, defense, special teams. And you can make an argument that he got consumed by offense and allowed Jonathan Gannon to pretty much do whatever he wanted. And now I don't think that's really going to be the case. I think Nick Sirianni is going to have a little bit more input on what's going on defense. At least maybe have more input in philosophy, because Jonathan Gannon had a habit of being passive. And that's interesting because passiveness is not necessarily what Nick Sirianni gives off. He gives off someone who's aggressive, passionate, someone who doesn't waste any opportunities, doesn't waste any time. You know how he feels when he feels it. He's a very, very blunt individual.
True.
Not abrasive, but blunt.
True.
He's passionate about football. And Jonathan Gannon seems to hold his cards a little bit closer to the vest. A guy that seems to be a little bit more stoic, a little bit more too cool for school, right?
Yeah,
And
his hand was kind of forced last year. I mean, with the lack of talent at the linebacker position, he had to put way too much pressure on the defensive line, and then losing BG early in the season. I mean, that was disastrous. And from that point on, I mean, I don't even think that the defensive line was going to be able to create as much pressure as he was going to want, regardless. Even if we would have had BG last year, because we just didn't have the depth, and like I said, with the lack of talent, just pretty much over across the board at linebacker last year, his hands were kind of tied. So let's hope that that's not necessarily a characteristic trait of his, of more of just a situational thing last year. You know what I mean?
right, right. And you expect everyone to fall in line. And we see how passionate Sirianni is on the sideline. When he's talking to the players, and when things, when he doesn't agree with certain things the refs are doing, so on and so forth. He seems like a very in your face kind of guy when he needs to be. So I believe Nick Sirianni is beginning to really ingratiate himself in that head coaching role, and I love this. I'm beginning to be a fan of the structure they're trying to build, and just allowing Shane Steichen to call plays, right, just indicates a level of trust he has in him. And if people don't necessarily already know this, the previous structure was Nick Sirianni would give Shane Steichen a scheme or formation he wants to run a play out of. Steichen will then choose a play, and then Steichen would then relay it to Hurts. So essentially they were playing whisper down the lane to Hurts when it comes to relaying plays. A lot can get lost in that. And sometimes where there's too many cooks in the kitchen, the meal doesn't necessarily come out the way you anticipated.
Right.
may still be good, may still be edible, but the meal didn't come out as good as it could have been because you had too many cooks in the kitchen, at one time.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Now,
it's gonna be messy, and then they're gonna be tripping over each other.
exactly. So I think Nick Sirianni made a very, very solid decision saying, you know what, Shane, I want you to take over full time play calling. We're going to game plan. We're going to call plays from a bevy of plays that we discuss. We're going to have plays queued up for situations, but I want you to execute the plays. I want you to hand deliver it or hand pick the plays and give them to Hurts on game day, and we go from there. Shane Steichen is the one that's constantly communicating with Hurts in his ear, whereas Nick Sirianni is the one who communicates it to him face to face for the most part. They both communicate face to face, but the Sirianni is the one who's going to give that passion, right? And Shane Steichen is going to be that one who's like, who's going to give him, I guess, the technical nuances of, okay, the play, this is where the play went wrong. Okay, this is what we did right. Let's try to maximize that. And I really like what they're trying to do here. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, for being honest. But you know, before we before we move on from the Shane Steichen situation, what's your thoughts on? Well, I'm pretty sure you've seen Shane Steichen interviews and press conferences, right? What's
Right.
your thoughts on Shane Steichen as a person?
Um, I think for the most part, from what I've taken, is that he's a pretty down to earth guy, and he's just pretty he's passionate about football. He's probably not a rah rah guy like Sirianni is, but I don't think he has any less passion than the head coach does. So I think I mean obviously we don't know the guy. He could be different behind closed doors, but from what I could tell, he seems like a pretty stand up guy that if things go well for us in the near future, I mean he's probably going to be getting some head coaching opportunities. I'm sure in the very near future, especially if he shows the ability to be able to call plays at a high level with Jalen Hurts, obviously succeeding at a pretty high level this next year, and going forward with the core that we have now. Yeah, I think I think he's going to be in a very very good place. I mean, I think he already is. I think we are as an organization to have him as our OC. I mean, he's an experienced coach, and yeah, I think he's a stand up guy for the most part. What do you think?
Shane Steichen strikes me as someone who he doesn't strike me as a as a BSer, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So he strikes me as someone who is a straight shooter,
straightforward. Yeah,
and he strikes me as someone who knows how to deliver a message, who knows how to get the most out of his players. Again, we're still learning about this coaching staff. They've only been with us for 1 year.
hmm
We're still trying to figure out habits. But what I like about the transition more than anything is the fact that now we know who to point the finger to if the play calling seems suspect. I like the transparency there. We know whether or not, okay, is this Nick Sirianni calling these plays or is this Shane Steichen? We know it's going to be Shane Steichen. Now, the only thing we can say is Nick Sirianni signed off. Now, Nick Sirianni signed off on the plays that could potentially be called, but he doesn't necessarily always, how do you say, he's not really in control of the sequencing. Now, he's going to always step in if he feels like, okay, let's go this way on this drive. Let's try
yeah.
to aim for this. He's going to give Shane Steichen what he wants. Shane Steichen is going to execute with the combination of plays. So we know who to look to when we see a pass run, or a run pass run, or a run run. We know who's in charge of the sequencing of the plays being delivered. And
Do we know
again,
when? Do we know like what at what week or what point last year Steichen took over?
they didn't actually say a specific week, but if I really had to take a wild guess, I would say it was the Raiders game.
I
Um,
think so.
I want to say it started with the Raiders game, and then the Detroit Lions matchup was where Nick Sirianni said, "Okay, this is all you." Because remember, they tried to come down running that ball. Then Miles Sanders got hurt, and it kind of threw them for a loop, and they kind of reverted back to what they wanted, reverted back to their old tricks. So you can make an argument it was either Raiders week or Lions week. So, it's interesting to see if, Shane Steichen can be that person, if he can be trusted. And quite honestly, you know, this new team, this young core, it's going to be really great. It's going to be really great to see how they continue to develop together. There's a new culture building in Philadelphia, even outside of the coaching staff. When you think about the young guys, the players, there's something brewing in Philadelphia. There's a new swag, a new juice, a new energy brewing in the city. And these guys truly, truly are for each other. You can tell these guys are truly, truly building that team camaraderie. Devonta Smith his softball, his charity softball game over the weekend, and a lot of the Eagles guys was there. Patrick Surtain was there, Michael Parsons was there, and you just saw the camaraderie amongst the Eagles players, and you can't really deny what's being seen, what's being heard, especially in these press conferences. You
not
hear
only the
Andy,
not only the brotherly camaraderie, but the confidence. In addressing South Texas comment, he said he wants you to address AJ calling out Parsons. Is he crazy? No, he's the other. He's another C word. He's confident. That's what he is. South Tex. He's confident because he knows. AJ Brown knows he didn't come to Philadelphia to lose. We're coming for the division. We're coming for the division, and we're coming for more than that. So you guys better be ready.
You know what's so funny? Like, it's so funny how Cowboys fans talk as if, Cowboys
Right?
fans talk like they have some sort of, what do you say, respect in the NFL right now. Like, Cowboys fans are really comical to listen to because they're one of the only teams who have done nothing but say everything. And
they're paper champions every year, but
every year,
over a
it'd
quarter of a century now.
It'll be different. And look, I'll give respect where respect is due. They have five Super Bowls in their history, something like that. And they did a pretty good job. I know they did a pretty good job in the 90s, when cell phones just were beginning to, become a thing. And, people still had the big giant jumbo phones in their cars, you know what I'm saying? Like they were doing a good job then, when Kid and Play was popping. And Chris
Home Alone
Cross,
from the theaters.
Home Alone came up. They were doing a good job then, right? But let's talk about what's been happening lately because we're in the 21st century now. It's an entirely new century since the Cowboys have been, I guess you'll say, relevant. And every single year, Cowboys fans come in and this is our year. This is it. No one's gonna be able to stop us. Number one offense, baby. Da 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 da. And then
Dak Prescott's the next whoever.
Dak Prescott is, he's going to take us further than Troy Aikman ever did. And, it's like, okay, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it.
Still waiting. We're still waiting.
Right. And, I'm not even talking about Super Bowls anymore. That conversation is dead because we all have our own now. Let's just talk about their culture, right? Let's talk about, that wasn't even a topic today, but let's talk about it since we got time.
Right.
Let's really discuss Cowboys team culture, Cowboys fan culture, right? They literally are so delusional to clear-cut facts. Like a team that can be so talented, a team that asks for everything, but gives so little. Every year they get their fans excited.
Oh yeah,
then they let you down in the worst way. How do you explain that? How can you still be a dynasty when you haven't won anything since 1996?
Seriously,
You were a dynasty. You
a
were a dynasty.
long time ago.
You were past tense. Past tense. You were a dynasty. That's the part that they don't understand. You were.
And your owner screwed up because he would have won more if he would have left Jerry John. If Jerry would have left Jimmy Johnson alone, you guys would have won at least 2 or 3 more. So you have nothing but your owner to blame for that. An owner that has season in and season out hyped this team up, raised prices. I mean, he's built Jerry's world in the time where you guys haven't won diddly squat. And yet,
do you know how self-centered you have to be?
Your fan base is still delusional after all these years.
Like, bro, do you have any idea how self-centered you have to be to call your team's stadium Jerry World?
Right?
Do you know how self-centered you have to be?
It's not the ranch or the something cowboy oriented. No, it's
how
Jerry's
psychopathic world. You have to be. How sociopathic you have to be. And
right?
The Cowboys, I'm telling you, man, the cliff is, but it's going to be a long fall because that money that y'all think y'all have, y'all really don't. Y'all don't even want to pay y'all tight end. Like, come on, man.
And that money you've already spent on Dak and on Zeke, yeah. That's not going to pay much dividends for you guys. Guarantee it.
Like you think with all due respect, South Tex, no one gives a damn about how valuable your franchise is. Value doesn't equate to winning. Value does not equate to winning.
No. And you guys, we need to stop with this America's team too, because you guys are not America's team. That saying is older than me, and I just turned 40 years old this year. So that tells you how that saying goes back to the 70s. And the only reason they were called America's team back then is because they were shown on TV the most. That's the only reason they were called that. We need to stop with all that. That is a misrepresentation of America, because that you guys' star is not a logo, it's a rating. And it's out of 5.
Yo,
come on, y'all. Let's be real.
It's so crazy because I remember one day I went to the movies. I forgot what movie I went to see. But no, matter of fact, I remember what it was. It was when Spider-Man came out, the new Spider-Man. I went to the movies, right? And the security guard was a hardcore Cowboys fan. And I'm at the bar. Movie theaters got bars now for some reason. I ain't mad at it.
Right.
So,
oh yeah.
So I'm at the bar grabbing a drink. And I'm just listening to the bartender and the guy go back and forth. The bartender clearly is an Eagles fan. And I'm just listening to the conversation, right? And the Cowboys fan, the security guard was like, "I'm telling you, man, this is our year. I'm telling you, this is our year. No one will be able to stop Dak this year. I'm telling you, like this squad this year, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott. I'm telling you, this is gonna be our year. No offense is on fire like our offense. I'm telling you, our offense is the best offense in the NFL." And I'm just listening to him talk, and I'm like,
"That was last year."
This last
year?
This is before this season ended. This is
wow.
Why the season's going on still. This is our year. I'm telling you, this is the one. This is the one. Look, Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, the 1-2 punch. I'm telling you, the Eagles, y'all gonna be real upset when y'all sitting at home in them playoffs. Y'all gonna be real upset when y'all see us in the NFC Championship. Y'all gonna be real upset, homie. And
he had the accent and everything.
And I'm spicing it a little bit. But I'm listening to him talk, and it reminds you, I had nothing to do with the conversation.
Right.
I had nothing to do with the conversation. But
you're just a bird on a plane.
But I had to chime in. I was laughing hard,
Uh-huh.
like and like I'm laughing so hard to the point where they had to know they noticed me, and the boy was like, "Oh, you laughing at us?" I said, "No, my brother, I'm laughing at you, man. Like I'm laughing at you. Like the level of delusion y'all fan base has is so nauseating, right? That watch, listen, y'all gonna put them numbers up. It's gonna be exciting to watch. Y'all gonna get into the playoffs. Y'all gonna win the division this year. That's when they had momentum on us. We couldn't really catch them. And
Right.
y'all gonna win the division. And then we're gonna make the playoffs too. That's when we weren't even really we were still trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But we were winning some games. I said, look, we're gonna be there too. And guess what? We're gonna be sitting on the couch together. How about that? And he was like, "No, I'm telling you, young buck. I'm telling you, this is our year. Just think about it. What y'all got and what we got." I said, "Look, I hear everything you're saying. Your team is very talented, but every year y'all do what with it? What have y'all done for me
Nothing.
lately?" Look, all I kept saying to him was, "What have you done for me lately? What have you done for me
Right.
lately?" And guess
It's a
what?
quarterback driven league.
I
They love Dak, but what has he done for them? Diddly
he's a,
Dak. That's what he's done.
and look, look at the things they're satisfied with. We swept the division, though. Oh, when Jalen gonna beat the Cowboys? Well, Jalen ain't been in the league long enough to really have a resume that you can really
And you,
put stock
what are you
into.
hanging your hat on there? What are you
Oh,
really hanging your hat on there?
y'all beat
You
the
swept the division. Big
Cowboys.
deal. You swept
Come on,
Washington. You swept the Giants, and you swept us, who has with a first year coach and a quarterback.
don't worry, Foothills. Foothills, don't worry because that mentality that they have is why they are where they are.
Right.
That mentality is why they are where they are. But let's transition because Cowboys talk is a bit nauseating. It kind of makes me sick a little bit.
Yeah, that's
So
why they do it. They can't.
you know,
There's no way that there could be this many. Well, I guess it's possible, but I think at this point, some of them do it just to irritate us non-Cowboy fans because they know it's so nauseating.
oh man, so yeah, I was talking about team culture, right?
Yeah.
And the Eagles are building something, man. AJ Brown's is putting a battery in Smitty's back, saying, "Hey, look, man, this kid, he's this guy, man. He's already a number one wide receiver. Like, we got two number one wide receivers. Like, people gonna be scared, and it's not gonna be easy to stop, And he was talking about how him and Darius Slay are always chatting it up. He's always trying to pick Darius Slay's brain about technique and what to look for. Like, these guys are really helping each other. This is really gonna be exciting to see.
Oh yeah. It really is because AJ is only gonna AJ is only gonna open up things for the whole offense. But by him saying that publicly, that Smitty to him is also a number one receiver, that's gonna build Smitty's confidence even more. That's gonna send him on a trajectory that we are going to enjoy watching as Eagles fans. I can promise you that because there's not a, a lot of cornerback tandems out there that are going to be able to slow both of these guys down. It's just not possible. You
It
might be
won't
able
be
to slow one of them down, but not both of them. So, I mean, pick your
right.
poison.
And that's the thing. You're going to have to. And you still got to worry about Dallas Goddard coming across the middle. Still got to worry about Quez, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell coming out the backfield. You still have other things to worry about. You know what I mean?
Austin
It's
Scott.
not it's not going to be. That's why our issues really lie at the quarterback position. But it's not something I can't handle because Jalen Hurts is someone who's consistently gotten better every year of his career.
Right.
And you know, the question is how much better will he be from last year? That's the $1 million question. But overall, the schedule is more favorable than it was last year, and I truly expect us to take advantage of the opposition. This is going to be really interesting to watch. And let's think about it from this perspective as well. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith on the boundary, they're going to open it wide open. Like they're gonna bust it wide open. And I'm just, you know, you've been seeing
I
a
think
lot of talk
people,
about 707s, right? And the whole
right.
in the offseason. Now, I'm not really too much of a fan of them because I feel like sometimes people put too much stock into them. I want to see these guys in live game action. That's how I properly judge a quarterback and so on and so forth. You know, they were saying Smitty was looking sharp, AJ Brown was looking sharp, Jalen Hurts was looking sharp. But no one's coming at them, right? In terms of like, no one's coming after the quarterback. How much stock do you put into 7-on-7 scrimmages? And for you, what's your barometer? How do you gauge? How do you judge players?
Well, with 7-on-7s, I mean, you kind of have to take it.
For what it's worth.
Kind of have to exactly because obviously with the lack of pressure from the defensive side of the ball, that makes things quite a bit easier for the quarterback receiver tandems to hook up to work to get that work done. So I mean, I don't really put a whole lot of stock into 7-on-7s. I think that they're just kind of good to. Those are good for timing, to get timing down with certain routes, especially with a new receiver to the offense like AJ Brown. He's going to have a somewhat of a learning curve. He's a young kid and he seems pretty smart, so I don't think that's going to be much of an issue at all. But I mean, it's definitely they're definitely interesting to watch. I mean, what are your thoughts on 7-on-7s? Like, how do you usually grade players?
7-on-7s, they're fun to talk about, but I don't give them too much credence for the simple fact that, again, it's a controlled environment, and it's
Right.
easy. It's easy to get it done in a controlled environment. Me personally, I would love to see. Excuse me. Me personally, I would love to see Jalen Hurts play in a preseason game. It doesn't have to be the full game. It doesn't have to be a full half. It could be a quarter. It could be a couple drives. The reason I say that is
Yeah.
because you're putting him in an environment where everyone is playing their hardest. You know why? Because everyone outside of those first or top 22 players on each team, they're fighting for a roster spot. They're fighting for their livelihood. What
100%.
better arena? What better arena to really find out if you're really taking your game to another level when guys are truly trying to take your head off? A lot of people say, "Hey, Jalen Hurts, he tightened up his throwing motion and he's looking better than ever. He's looking sharper," and all these positive things, which I love to hear. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. Great guy, great player. Great man, great leader. But all those fundamentals you say he's tightened up, all those mechanics you say he tightened up on, okay, that's cool to hear in 7-on-7s. That's cool to talk about during the teams versus team scrimmages. That's fun to talk about.
Right.
But what do you do when they're allowed to touch you? How do you hold on to your fundamentals then when the other team is allowed to take your head off? You know what I'm saying? How sharp are your mechanics when you're running for your life? You dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's very easy to resort to your fundamentals when you playing when the sun is at its brightest, the sky is blue, the grass is green, and it's
Oh,
the
yeah. I mean,
perfect it's the perfect temperature. But what do you do when it's a freaking blizzard? Or what do you do when it's pouring down rain? And what do you do when the environment is out of your control? What do you do when you have to read the plan of attack on the defense side of the ball? What happens when your first read is taken away? Well, how will your mechanics and your fundamentals treat you then? Will you
right.
still
How
hold
you
on to
respond?
them? How will you respond? Will you still hold on to your fundamentals and your improvements in your mechanics, or will you resort back to old habits because you got a little skittish? That's where things get interesting for me, and that's where I want to judge this young man. Throw him in a preseason game or two, a quarter, a drive, whatever you see fit. This is what you tell
Yeah.
him. You say, look, Jalen, this is what I want. I don't want you taking off running at all. What you're going to do is you're going to drop back. You're going to go through your progressions. If it's there and you trust what you see, let it rip. If it's not there and you don't trust what you see, hit your check down. If your check down is eliminated, throw it away. I want to see you process information. I want to see you process what you see in front of you. I don't need to see you running a million miles an hour, breaking plays in the preseason. It's not what that's for. I need to see you knock the rust off your shoulder. I need to see you knock the dust off. I need to see you processing information. And there's no better way to see someone process information when you throw them in the pressure cooker. Like I said, I know a lot of people think preseason is a joke, but it's not for most guys. In preseason, guys are trying to live. They're trying to feed their families. They're trying to earn their livelihood. And preseason is not a joke. And if you throw Jalen Hurts out there with guys that's hungry, listen, it's real easy to walk through a crowd of hyenas when they're already being fed. But what happens when the hyenas are starving and you got a piece of meat hanging around your neck? What do you do when the wolves are starving? You dig what I'm saying? Hungry dogs run faster. So it's going to be important to see if Jalen Hurts can get it done in real game time situations.
No doubt. Yeah, it's we could talk about it, and they could say all they want, but we got to, and that goes for this team in totality. We look good on paper right now, we really do, but we did that year, when we went all in and got Nnamdi Asomugha, the dream team, all that year we were projected to go deep into the playoffs, but that team fell on its flat on its face. Now, I'm not saying that these teams are similar in any way like that, but what I'm trying to say is that it's not basically what you can say, it's what you can do, and we need to see what he can do. We need to see, he's saying the right things right now. He's doing the right things in practices, in the OTAs and things like that right now. But like you said, what's going to happen when, the S really hits the fan? Is he going to go back to the old ways, or is he going to continue to progress? Is he going to continue to try to see the field in totality, try to go through his progressions, try to find that open man in the coverage? It's there's going to be a lot on his shoulders. There really is this year, but I think he's ready for it. I think he's got that mentality that even if things don't go right, he's still going to fight. He's still going to work hard, and he's going to continue to improve every day. So, yeah, definitely, we have to see, and I think we're going to. I think a lot of, or I shouldn't say a lot. Some people don't realize that consistency, a routine, getting to know the offense in totality, getting that comfort level, it's very important for quarterbacks. Very, very important. And this is the first year where Jalen Hurts is going to have back-to-back years in the same offensive system. That is a huge, huge thing right there, you guys. So not only on top of him, hopefully what they're saying is true, and I think it is true for the most part. He's improving his mechanics. He's tweaked his throwing motion a little bit. So on top of that, with just the familiarity with the offensive play calling, with the offensive system, with the guys around him, that's huge. That's going to be huge going forward, and I think that's going to help Jalen take a very, very big step forward this next year. I do.
Right. Drew Johnson said something interesting that I want to sort of touch on.
What's going on, Drew? Appreciate you.
He said preseason, I only care about trenches. Outside of that, preseason really don't show much. A lot of players are trying to make the team, but usually not that talented. Here's my thing, Drew. Yes, preseason doesn't matter. But what better forum than to take the most risk so you can really test how much you've improved, right? You tell Jalen, listen, don't worry about being perfect. I want to see you make certain throws. And sure, the guys may not be as good, but he's going up against guys who are hungry, playing at NFL speed. That's what I need. Of course, the competition is going to increase when the season actually starts. But to test your skill set against guys who, on some level, are NFL caliber, but may not just be good enough to be a starter or a backup, right? But they're NFL caliber. what better forum to test where Jalen Hurts is? Why do you want him? Why have him make most of his? And I'm not saying you're saying this, Drew, but why have him have his first taste of real live game action in week 1 when things actually matter? That doesn't make sense to me. If
No.
anything, I want to get his body. I want to get his reaction time. I want to get his processor at NFL speed, at game speed in preseason. So when the week 1 starts, nothing is new. He's used to the motions. He's used to walking into Lincoln Financial Field. He's used to having his pads on, and he's used to the lights at that moment. He's used. You know what I mean? At the end of the
Yeah.
day,
Especially when you add a big time receiver like AJ Brown, who is going to be a very, very big part of this offense. Absolutely no, you do not want your starting quarterback first live action to be week 1 of the regular season. Hell no.
a guy that you're trying to learn more about. You're trying to see if he really has taken the next steps.
Exactly, and that's what they give you. That's what they give you the preseason for. Right? That's what the preseason's for. It's not only to evaluate talent on your team or lack thereof, as Drew would say, but it's also to get that rust off. To get your starting units primed and ready. Get them lubed up. Get that motor functioning at full throttle. You know what I mean? You don't want there to be issues come week 1. Then you look like for one, as a coaching staff, you look like morons because you had the preseason, you had training camp to figure this stuff out, and now you're realizing it's a problem. It's like, come on, guys, we're professionals. Let's act like it. We're getting paid lots of money. Let's earn our keep, and let's do the right thing. And absolutely, we need to get our starting units in, like you said, at least a quarter. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just let them get the rust off. And if it's the last preseason game, then so be it.
Right. You can make an argument that
what are we down to 2 preseason games now?
I think 2
preseason games,
right? I think it's still 3.
It's still 3?
Okay. Yeah, still 3. But hear me out on this, right? You can make an argument that if they allowed Jalen Hurts to play in the preseason last year, he probably could have got some of those bad throws out of his system. Granted, he did start off week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons pretty well. He threw over 30 passes. He was pretty sharp. He looked good. But then you put him in week 2, week 3, week 4. It's like, okay, what's going on? So clearly something was amiss. And
yeah, early in the season last year, our offensive play calling was way unbalanced, especially for basically a rookie quarterback, first year in the offensive system, first year as the quote unquote starting quarterback, so there is a lot of, there's a lot of factors in last year, but absolutely we were way too heavy on throwing the ball to begin the year. We should have definitely took more pressure off of Jalen and ran the ball. And as you see, when we did run the ball, we were pretty damn good at it because our offensive line is pretty damn dominant.
I feel you. Drew Johnson says it may be a bit counterintuitive to have him go out there and just sling it. It's preseason though. Not necessarily telling him to go out there and throw dumb passes. What I'm saying, Drew, is go out there. If you like what you see, let it rip. If you don't like what you see, hit your check down. If your check down is not there, throw it out of bounds. I want to see. This isn't about stats. This isn't about how his arm looks. I need to see him processing information.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
Yep.
It's not even just about the physical thing. I want to see him be able to process.
It's a computer check. We got to make sure that the microprocessor is functioning at full capacity.
Right, and I don't want to boot up my computer when I need it the most. I want to be able to warm it up. I want to get used to it. I want to know, okay, how well does this thing run when I really need it to be at full capacity? And right. I feel like it's counterintuitive to let Jalen Hurts go the entire preseason without taking a snap or throwing a ball. That, my friend, is what I think is counterintuitive. But I have a question for you, just to take it a step further. PFF came out with their top head coach, with their top 32 head coach rankings, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. So I'm going to read off the list, and eventually we're going to come down to where Nick Sirianni is rated, and then we're going to discuss that. Sound good?
Okay.
So we got about 6 minutes left in the show. Shouldn't take too long. All right. So number one. So what they did was they ranked them. They ranked them one through 32, and then they separated them by tiers. So tier one is considered to be Hall of Fame coaches. So ranked number one is Bill Belichick. Number two is John Harbaugh. Number three is Andy Reid.
Okay.
So that is tier one, your Hall of Fame coaches. Then
Okay.
tier two are good coaches. This is how they
I
define good. This
I haven't
is
even
how they
seen the list
define.
yet,
I
but I
got
bet
you.
Sean McVay is in the is in tier 2.
This is how they define tier two. Many of these coaches are either rising stars or have had comfortable amounts of success in their careers at the helm. In any
Okay.
given year, in any given year, the teams they coach will likely be in the playoffs, although they generally either struggle on one side of the ball or simply haven't sustained their success over time. So, ranked number four among the top 32 head coaches is Cliff Kingsbury. That is blasphemous to me. I don't,
What?
I don't, I don't agree with that at all. Number
Cliff
four is Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Right. Cliff Kingsbury hasn't done nowhere near enough to me to be considered a top five head coach in the NFL. It's not it's not it doesn't make sense to me in any way. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Um, Pete Carroll, number five, Seattle Seahawks. Number six, Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers. Number seven, Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49ers. As a matter of fact, I would put Kyle Shanahan above Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't see how you have Cliff
Absolutely, I
Kingsbury.
would too.
I don't see how you have Cliff Kingsbury over Kyle Shanahan. Maybe Matt LaFleur,
Or Sean
maybe.
McVay.
Right?
Sean
Or Sean
McVay,
McVay.
Sean McVay's got a ring. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have a ring yet.
Exactly. So Kyle Shanahan's number one. I mean number seven. Excuse me, number seven.
Okay.
Remind you, we're still on that tier two of good coaches. So Kyle Shanahan is number seven.
Wow, they
Mike
put
Vrabel,
Kingsbury way too high.
right? Mike Vrabel is number eight. I like that for Mike.
Okay.
I like that for Mike Vrabel.
I would put Vrabel ahead of Kingsbury too.
Yeah, I would put Vrabel in front of Kingsbury too.
Oh yeah, Kingsbury would be
Because
lucky to be my top 10, dude, right now.
exactly
He'd be lucky
because
to be in my top 10.
Vrabel lost his number one wide receiver and his star running back for extended stretches and still managed to hold on to the number one seed. That is
And his
not easy.
quarterback is not that good.
Right.
He's not. Tannehill's not that good.
So then at number 9, you have Frank Reich from the Colts. Number
Okay.
10. Number
Team
10,
shit
you
the
have
bed down the
number 10, you have Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys. Then number 11, you have Sean McVay. This is a problem for me. I'm putting Sean McVay over Mike McCarthy. I'm putting Sean McVay over Cliff Kingsbury. Like
I'm putting him over LaFleur. Hey, McVay just won a ring. He just won a ring. He's young. He's still very, very young. I mean, to me, he would be my number 4. He would. And then probably Kyle Shanahan behind him.
Right.
And go from there. Maybe Vrabel or LaFleur after that.
I can't argue with that. So Sean McVay, number 11.
That's crazy.
Brandon Staley for the Los Angeles Chargers, number 12. Mike Tomlin, number 13. And that's your tier 2 coaches. Then tier 3 are considered to be your average coaches, right? And they have Nick Sirianni leading the pack at number 14. I have a problem with Nick Sirianni being number 14, and I have a problem with Brandon Staley being number 12. How can you have a head coach in Brandon Staley who didn't make the playoffs over Nick Sirianni, and they won the same amount of games, I believe? That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. I understand he was in a tougher division. I get that. But Brandon Staley has so many opportunities to get it done, and he made bonehead decision after bonehead decision. And
I think it has to do with probably the progression of Justin Herbert.
But he's not even solely responsible for that, though.
Right, but a lot of people give him more credit than he should. I agree with you. He's not solely responsible. But people give him a lot of credit for Herbert's success. You know,
You know,
and I can't even believe that. Like Drew Johnson said, what Tomlin way down there exactly. Mike Tomlin would have been in my top 10. I don't care how the Steelers finished last year. He's still a top 10 coach.
Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record in his career.
Never.
He's always had a record above
solid
500. Always got no matter how they looked. Always got his team to at least 8, 9 wins, 10 wins. Like maybe they haven't won a Super Bowl in a while, but to have Mike Tomlin below Brandon Staley, to have Mike Tomlin below Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy,
a slap in the face.
Is honestly a slap in the face if you ask me.
It really is disgraceful. That's disrespectful, and PFF should really check themselves because they're that's a lot of the times. I swear they do this stuff to get reactions out of us because that's to put Cliff Kingsbury that high. That's asinine. As much as they just absolutely just fell apart in the playoffs last year. I mean, come on, no. Kingsbury doesn't belong anywhere near the top 10, in my opinion.
Right. And it's so funny because for Nick Sirianni to be ranked 14th, look, he's in the top half of the league. So, I'm not pissed about him being where he's positioned. It's the people they have. It's some of the people they have ahead of him. It's on most of these people. Okay, I'll put him ahead of him. But to have Brandon Staley ahead of him is just crazy to me. So Nick Sirianni is 14th. Doug Peterson is 15th. Then Sean McDermott with the Buffalo Bills is 16th. This doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't make sense to me at all because how does a guy take his team to the AFC Championship and Sean McDermott with the Buffalo Bills? How does he coach up a kid like Josh Allen? And all of a sudden you're saying he's a lesser head coach than Brandon Staley, a guy who hasn't even been to the playoffs yet?
McDermott would have been in my tier 2. He would have been in my tier 2.
Over Cliff Kingsbury. McDermott is better than Cliff Kingsbury, in my opinion.
Without a doubt. And we're not being homers because McDermott came from the Eagles organization either. We're calling it as we see it. And he's been a very, very good, solid coach for them. I mean, he would be another one that would be hard not to put in my top 10. So he would have been early on in tier 2. Definitely, that's another disrespectful ranking right there.
Like, I'm not even mad Doug Peterson's where he is because
are these guys even watching football?
Man, I'm not even mad that Doug Peterson is where he is because he took a year off. So I'm not mad Doug Peterson where he is, but it's the order of these things, man. It's like I just don't understand how you consider Mike Tomlin just to be a good coach. Like it's just.
And once again, the Cowboys coach gets way more credit than he deserves. Is Mike McCarthy?
Mike McCarthy's overrated, man. He's overrated if you ask me. Cowboys were a talented team before he got there. They did exactly what they did in the other year. The Packers could have had a high school football coach the year that Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and they still would have won. Another thing too about the Packers, Matt LaFleur, I don't think he should be that high either, because Matt LaFleur for the Packers. Let's be totally honest. How how bad of a coach you have to be to screw up with Aaron Rodgers? like you can't it doesn't take a brain surgeon to get Aaron Rodgers ready to play.
And if he was such a genius and he had such a great offensive system, why is their top receiver just leave and go to Vegas? It's they had the money to pay him. They have the quarterback in house. Maybe it's about the system.
Right. So number 16 is Sean McDermott, Buffalo Bills. Number 17 is Lovie Smith, Houston Texans. Number 18 is Ron Rivera, Washington Commanders. Number 19 is
another one that got ranked too low. Lovie Smith should be higher.
Lovie Smith has been cutting his teeth in this league for a long time. I think he's too low. Ron Rivera, Washington Commanders, 18. Okay. 19th is Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns. Number 20 is Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. And then now we're entering tier 4, which is room for improvement.
Arthur Smith, that's high for as bad as they played last year in his first year.
Bro, this is where it gets even more blasphemous, bro. You said Arthur Smith is ranked 20th, right?
Yeah,
Now, hear me out on this. Todd Bowles, number 21, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Zach Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals. Zach Taylor was just in the Super Bowl with his team. And you mean to tell me he's a lesser coach than Arthur Smith?
that's crazy.
Come on,
That's
man.
insane.
I'm not saying he's top 10 or even top 12, but to have him ranked below Arthur Smith.
Didn't he win? Didn't he win Coach of the Year? Or at least he was in the runnings for it. I know that. Zach Taylor. I mean, that's to take a team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl in what, almost 35 years,
Man,
roughly.
they haven't even won a playoff game since like the 90s or something like that.
Yeah, he should be in the tier 2 just for that.
I don't know, man.
That's crazy. That's insane. What were they smoking or what were they drinking when they made this list? I got to know.
It's just certain situations you got to just look at like with a like obvious like duh like. But number 23 or number 22 is Zach Taylor, Bengals. Number 23 is Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. Number 24 is Matt Rule, Carolina Panthers. Number 25 is Dennis Allen, New Orleans Saints. And number 26 is Robert Saleh, New York Jets. Now, they only rank 26 of them because the rest of the guys are rookie head coaches. And there's no way for you to judge a rookie head coach who hasn't done anything yet. So basically, the bottom of the list is Robert Saleh, Dennis Allen, Matt Rule, Dan Campbell, Zach Taylor. Those guys are like the bottom of the barrel. I think they're doing Zach Taylor a terrible, terrible disservice.
Without a doubt.
But I think Nick Sirianni should be ahead of Brandon Staley. I think Sean McDermott should be ahead of Brandon Staley.
Yes.
It just doesn't really add up to me. But
Zach Taylor should be ahead of Nick Sirianni. I mean,
yeah,
in my opinion, for what he did, and that's no slight on Sirianni.
It's just the reality. Zach Taylor should be ahead of Nick Sirianni. There's no other way to slice it. And to coach a team to the Super Bowl is not easy to do, and he did it. That alone should have him at least in the top 15. Sean McDermott should at least be top 12, top 10. Like I just find it really hard to even. I just have it hard to believe that like this is the order that they're in. It's a head scratcher, and I don't really know what else to say about it. But hey, they put Nick Sirianni in the top half of the league. I'll take it, I guess. But Nick Sirianni himself has a lot of room for improvement, and I love what I saw from him when it came to putting his players in position, putting his coaching staff in position. You got to give credit where credit is absolutely due, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's just some people, some things just don't make sense to me. Some things just don't add up. And Brandon Staley being above some of the names I've heard, Cliff Kingsbury, that might be the most blasphemous thing I've seen. But overall, man, that's our final topic, my guy. I'm just so grateful to be here with these people, man, that love talking football. And we want you guys to make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed on both YouTube channels. We're live on not only the Nest Out West with my man Philly Foothills, but we're live on Chalk Sports as well. Smash that like button, subscribe, and Philly Foothills, man. What's your final words over everything we discussed there? What's your final words in general to leave the people with?
Cowboy fans, get your head out of your you-know-whats. It's time to stop being delusional. Definitely. Let's come back to reality. Let's definitely let's try to be a little more in the now. You guys haven't won anything in over a quarter of a century. So you could talk all the smack you want when you guys get another ring. And until then, you guys really need to eat some humble pie. But it's been another great podcast. Other Birds of the Feather, the podcast, I should say. It's always fun working with you, Tone. And I am very, very, very excited about our future, about our, about the future on YouTube, things like that. If anybody out there, if you guys are, if you're content creators and you are, looking for advice, or you want to hit us up to possibly collab or do some work together, you could always find me at Philly Foothills on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, my Instagram is Philly_Foothills82, and I'm also on Facebook as well. You could find me on there. Just put in Philly Foothills, and I'm sure I will pop up, definitely. But yeah, you guys, it's gonna be a long summer, but as Eagles fans, we have a very, very bright season ahead of us. So that's definitely just keep doing your thing. We're going to keep doing ours. We appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are the food in the water, like I always say. Without you guys, we cannot continue to survive and bring you this content. So keep us locked in, and we are going to continue to keep rocking this podcast. We're definitely enjoying it, and you know, the sky's the limits for this team this year. I really feel that. I know we get excited every year, but I mean, this, I think we, like you said earlier in the podcast, they're building something special in Philly, and as Eagles fans, we get the enjoyment of watching it, really play out and take place right in front of our eyes. So until next time, you guys, we fly until we die. Stay mean, stay green. Thanks for viewing us on your screen. But most importantly, like I always say, we out here in Cali and the nest out west. Keep it fuego.
Yes, sir. You guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Nest Out West with my man Philly Foothills. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports with your boy Tone DeShields II. Where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. Fly goes fly, baby.